Two boys, after attending the Mass, they were going back to their houses. Their houses were, close to one another. So they were walking back home. And on the way back, they were, they are good boys. So they were discussing about what the priest preached during the homily at the Mass. The priest preached about the devil. So little Peter, asked his friend, John, well, it is a good thing that we have been reflecting and doing talking about the devil. But I have a question. Do you really believe that stuff about the devil? And then, little John, he scratched his head. Do you think they're really a devil? He was kind of asking himself. No, it must be like a Santa Claus, your daddy. Well, I feel like it is a good joke, but also we have to remember that the devil is the father of all lies, father of the deceased. So at the beginning of Genesis 2, we heard about Adam and Eve. Well, Eve was the first one. She was deceived by the Satan. He lied her. Eat this fruit, you will be like God. She was deceived. And then Eve, she was used by the Satan and then continued to ask Adam to chew a bite too, So Adam too, decided to kind of bite the apple, which is forbidden. So, that's how the sin started, how the consequences of the sin we all have to embrace too. So last Wednesday was the Ash Wednesday. The 40 days of Lent began. So we have to kind of, really have to enter into this 40 days of Lent. Well, in the first reading, we heard about the story of Noah and his family. Noah and his family were saved from the flood. Noah spent 40 days and 40 nights in the ark during the flood. Genesis 7 from verse 4-12. And also Moses fasted for 40 days and nights on Mount Sinai to receive the law from God. What were they doing during these 40 days? They were praying, they were fasting, but they were doing the good deeds in order to, not to fall into the lies of the devil. What happened after these 40 days? Well, they see the rainbow, the covenant which is given from God. What a kind of a beautiful thing to see. And also Moses, after 40 days praying on Mount Sinai in order to receive the laws, after 40 days, he did get the laws, the commandments from God. And also not only, Noah, but also Moses, but also the whole Israelite people. They were wandering in the, desert for 40 years. After 40 years, they will enter into the land, the promised land. 40 days is a very, very significant days, significant, period for our spiritual life too. So it is a kind of a great call from God for the purification and also to avoid, to get away from the sins, to repent. So therefore, in the gospel reading we heard, repent, and then believe in the gospel. Jesus also, he entered into the desert for 40 days. He was tempted by the Satan. Well, here, the church always asks the people to do 3 things. These are the remedy, these are the kind of the strategy for us. There are quite a lot of, methods and ways for us to do the fruitful land. However, these 3 main things are taught by the church and also by Jesus. Well, prayer, fasting, and almsgiving. Here in the temptation of, Jesus by the Satan. What did it say here? Well, Satan used the lie of Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 13. You shall worship the Lord your God, and him alone shall you serve. Well, here Jesus was, teaching us to put God first in prayer and in worship. So in our prayer life, if we put God, at the center of our life, well, you won't be giving any chance to the devil. And then here continue. Man does not live by bread alone. Luke 4, verse 4. And also in the Deuteronomy 2, chapter 8, verse 3. Here Jesus was reminding that fasting shows God is more important to us than any earthly thing we desire. So you shall not put the Lord your God to the test. That's the kind of the third message, Jesus gave us in the temptation in the desert. Here Jesus was teaching and reminding us not to test God by expecting God to intervene, to look after those in need, but instead to help them ourselves. So here, when we are kind of giving, almsgiving, we are not putting God, the test. God is supposed to help him. God is supposed to, save him. Well, here, we are not supposed to put God on the test. We ourselves also have to participate in God's plan. Therefore, in the homily of Father Tommy Lane, well, what a kind of a great line I really like in his homily. It is mentioned, if Jesus had given in to any temptations of the devil, he would have wrecked his Father's plans. Let me repeat. If Jesus had given in to any temptation of the devil, he would have wrecked his Father's plan. And then Father Tommy Lane, he continued, when we give in to temptation, we wreck God's plans for us too. So the journey of this 40 days of Lent is very, very important for all of us. Well, God has a special plan for us, and Jesus has won the salvation for all of us. And on our path, we have to try our best, and we have to participate in this salvation plan. And while we are, participating in this salvation plan, there are 3 major things that we have to remember. Pray, put God first in our life. The second thing is, we are not going to put God, on the test. And then the third thing is, we have to remember that we don't live on the bread alone. We have to fast. Our fasting will definitely help us to be stronger to fight the spiritual battle. Therefore, remembering, these things, these important things, and let us start our journey of Lent.